All right. Hey guys. My name's Raynold and I'm a bodybuilder and I've been lifting for probably 10 years. Started at around in the year 2012. Yeah, I'm here with Thomas and we're just gonna talk about everything the gym related and maybe some things outside the gym related. But like if you wanted to do like a quick introduction, give it to you.
What's up? I'm Thomas. I'm a friend of Raynold, but I am a power lifter who's going to be lifting for USAPL. Um, Basically, we have pretty same ideologies, but we're just going to be talking about stuff inside and outside the gym, our opinions, our experiences, and we're going to get it from two perspectives. So two different perspectives.
All right. And throughout the podcast we kind of just rambled about certain topics, but I would just say that there is going to be I guess the introductory part will talk about, being Asian, how it feels like being Asian. Does it feel like anything different? Does it feel like we're doing something that's somewhat significant? And then we're just gonna like maybe delve a little bit into like why Asians may or may not be underrepresented or misrepresented in athletics. And then we also the next topic we talk about like how we met, how we became friends, how things kind of spiraled into a friendship, pretty good friendship. And then lastly, we talk about just like gym stories, funny things, girls in the gym, all types of things that you may also experience. And yeah,
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is just going to be a podcast where the vast majority of you guys can listen to and relate to, and maybe take some lessons. We're starting off very broad here, but over time, if we develop a following and anyone has questions or a targeted thing that they're looking for, we could take a moment in later installments and kind of just take them from there. But for now, we're just gonna lay down the foundation about ourselves.
yeah, hopefully this can be something that you guys can listen to, relate to, maybe even just put in the background, whatever you want to do. This is hopefully something the start of something really good.
Yep, we got a lot of experience. We could talk from very different fields. They overlap more than we think, and maybe this will help paint a very unbiased picture for anyone just starting off.
Yeah, and also to say that like we are pretty young, we're both 20 years old, and you know, our careers in our respective sports are just only going to, go on from here. We're going to talk about all the little battles we encounter over the years, all the wins and the losses, all that
Yep.
stuff. It's gonna be
And who
great.
knows what could be really cool is like if this, depending on the longevity of this podcast, who knows, maybe we could be looking back at the numbers we say like in the earlier episodes and then just see like, damn, we improved. And like this is really a way to kind of just track ourselves, but also, keep a log up for other people as well.
Do you think we're at a time in history where being Asian in the fitness industry is still relatively new?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
And I think so in like almost every discipline because when I say discipline, I'm not just talking about ours like bodybuilding and powerlifting. Like I'm a dude who's followed fitness and just sports for a very long time. Like, and as the dude who ran track and field and also ran a good amount in college, like just now after like hundreds of years of running in the Olympics, both modern and the ones in Greece, like we just now have a Chinese athlete first one to run under a 10-second 100-meter dash. And like that's under 10 seconds is fast, but like hundreds of people have done it now. And just now we're shocked. Like that's the thing that makes me sad. Like they're like, oh my God, an Asian man has run under 10 seconds. Like in that
yeah,
sport, I have never seen like an Asian CrossFitter place high or like get recognition. Like, and it's not that they're bad athletes. Like you look at the weightlifters,
no, dude,
like
the weightlifters
yeah,
are insane, bro.
like
Because
they're Asians in general. Like it's weird that when an Asian does something that someone has done before, it's not like, oh, he's the first or he or she's the first Asian to do that. It's like that's like why when they say the first Asian to do it, it implies that like we as a continent for that matter are behind in physicality. Like it's very strange to me. So I think them like Asians getting on the pro scenes of sports is like still very new to answer that question. Like we
But
saw Jeremy Lin take over the NBA like a couple years ago, and that was crazy.
yeah, I think like why do you like where does it all stem from? Like where what at what point in the history of I guess quote unquote Asia where like athletics has become more important? Do you think that's like an Americanization?
Yeah,
Like
I
that type
actually have
of
a
thing?
theory about this. Well, not a theory. It's just my thoughts on it. Going back to what I said, where it's like we see the first Asian, whatever. I don't think it's like Asians are just bad at sports or bad at whatever. It's the ratio of Asians that do sports or did sports back then to the ratio of, like whites, blacks, Hispanics, like any other race. The ratio is so disproportionate. Like I feel like it's a cultural thing. And I think it did stem from Asia itself, to be honest, because Asians historically have prided themselves on like the arts and like the sciences and like, just like the general just like pursuit of knowledge and stuff. And like using that logic, like you now look at the ratio of like Asian born people in like the top industries in the world, and now you have a very nice statistic. But like I think there is a cultural shift in our generation where Asians are kind of thinking like, we don't just have to be like math, science, whatever. If we get more Asians involved in sports, this is where the theory part comes in. If you took 200 Asian men and 200 white men, I think athletically their levels would be almost
The same.
identical from the average baseline point of view. Obviously, whoever worked longer or has trained longer will have a better performance, but I think it's just a disproportional amount that there's so few Asians that have been stepping up to the scenes, and it is growing. So it is in the right direction.
It is a
Um,
cultural.
yeah, I think it all stems from the cultural thing, like our parents type generation or like the grandparents type generation, like everyone sees the stereotypes that like, oh, Asians have to go to Harvard or like Asians have to do this. No one is saying Asians have to be bodybuilders or Asians have to be powerlifters. We're just finally deciding we want to be.
I'm thinking about this, right? Okay, if you look back into like the past like 100 years, there have been so many wars all along. You could almost kind of say like that time zone of like China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, that kind of time zone where
Yeah,
like there's just been a lot of like raw wars and like disputes
it's
because like
conflict.
yeah, and I'm thinking like okay, I don't know anything, but I'm thinking like that has to happen everywhere else, right? That's not like just there, or am I wrong? Like, because yeah, I mean, like if you think of like in America, right? I mean, yeah, there's like America's always involved in some other war, but like America in itself, like besides the Civil War, there aren't that many like complications
Yeah,
that have arrived. And I mean, I don't know about like in Europe and the UK and such, but like maybe that is a reason. Maybe that is because
yeah,
in my family history, I guess it's not that long ago, but like my great grandpa was in I don't know if it's World War II, but he was in some war and very much in Japan on the bad side. And I mean that's not that in terms of generation wise, that's not that far long ago.
yeah,
I can like I can ask my parents for stories from that time era. And like maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's like, I mean you're not thinking about athletics when you're wartime. So maybe that has a huge contributing factor to why we are here. But also, I mean, if you think about it, like, okay, let's think about what's like the longest sport. You would have to say the Olympics, right?
yeah.
Like,
I
so
think down to like just because of sheer lack of equipment at the time, running has been like the longest lasting sport.
Yeah, because this is a great point. One of my ideas is like maybe it's like worth ethic, maybe it's drive, motivation. But then I'm like, no, that can't be it. Because it's probably why I'm here today. I've heard of stories of my grandpa when he was 18, right? I'm not far from 18. And there are stories where like he would go into his backyard and make dumbbells himself from like cement and wood. And I'm like, oh, that's where I get all this fucking work ethic and drive from because he did it
Yeah.
a long time ago, the same thing I'm doing today, just in a
Yeah.
more modernized era. So I'm thinking like it can't be like work ethic was different, or I mean values are very much different now, but like it can't be. I don't think it's due to the time era. I think it's just like resources allotted. I think that's
Exactly.
what
I
it
was
is.
just gonna say the resources thing. I think culturally again, you know, and this is backed by statistics, so I don't want to sound biased or anything. You look at the top education systems in the world, and you see like Korea, you see China, you see Japan, you see like Indonesia, all these countries in the Asian regions. And it's because they put a crap ton of money into schools.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I think if we were to do some research, and I wish I could have done this beforehand, I guarantee you, I would bet money that there are more gyms in the United States than there probably are combined in a couple of the Asian countries.
yeah, 100%.
And I think that's a very big thing. Lack of exposure to the gyms is very much why athletes cannot reach that elite level. It's not because we have a genetic limit. And that's what I think is the very misrepresented thing, that, oh, the dude who ran sub 10 in the 100 has a genetic mutation as an Asian that allows him to do this. No, it's because he went to Jamaica to get trained by Usain Bolt's coach, like the best resource in the world. And he, without luck, with work ethic and the right resources, he got to that time. There's no mechanical limit on Asians that are different than like a European or an African or a South American. I think it's just the priorities that they have, like school, college, economics. Let's not worry about opening gyms or infrastructure, or extracurricular stuff. It's, I think that's a sad thing. But it is changing. It's nice to see, not just in weightlifting, like Asia's getting huge in basketball, they're getting huge in baseball. Like, it's fun to see. And I think there's a very big cultural shift happening. And I think we're in the early stages of it still. But I'm
Yeah,
very much looking forward to how it could be in like, a decade or so.
yeah. I think we're still in the beginning times, and I feel like probably maybe by the end of like our lifetimes, things are gonna be more equal,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat. Um, but yeah, like it's unfortunate because there is a lot of potential in those Asian countries, and they're
Yep.
just bounded by materialistic things. And man, who knows? Because like there are definitely like so many people that wish that could be someone else, wish that could like do this,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, it's just not feasible. So I mean, yeah, that's what the time thing. But
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, I think it's interesting, although interesting is kind of a rude word. I think it's interesting that like Asians are kind of like underrepresented and also kind of like held back. And it would be so, I
It's the
think it was,
stupid model minority thing that people hold.
I think it would be really cool if like all of a sudden just like the playing field just leveled and you just see things that you just don't see it anymore.
Yep.
Because like I mean, let's say the best times in bodybuilding was the golden era. It's literally called the golden era, and it's 70s and maybe 80s. It's before Ronnie Coleman's, before Dorian Yates, and it was just Arnold. Arnold was
Yeah.
the
I was
guy,
just gonna say.
and Arnold and his friends, literally his friends, and it's like people don't call body like we don't call this the golden era anymore. It passed. And I feel like we can do it again. You just need something to change and something big to change.
Yep.
And maybe like that is what is going to happen. Because I mean if you think about it like oh man, bodybuilding's in a place where like it's almost as if bigger is better, but then like it's starting to come back because I mean it's not healthy to just become bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But now there's it's starting to come back. It's starting to pull back where it's like, okay, maybe we don't need guys that are like as big as three. They don't need to be as big as Ronnie Coleman, 300 pounds. Maybe it's 290, and then maybe it's like 280, and you slowly lower it because one, that's more longevity in humans, but also
Yeah.
I think it's gonna increase that like that height because if you think about it, like okay, Arnold was not that big compared to today's guys. Arnold was maybe max like 240 on stage. That's max. And that was when he was big. Like he even thinks that like that was really big. And now like guys are easily like 280, 290, 300
Yeah.
pounds. And that is not aesthetic. I don't think that's aesthetic at all. I would not push my body to the point where like right now I feel like I'm a machine. But like if I'm like 30 pounds bigger, damn dude, like I kind of feel like my humanity is getting sucked out of me.
Mm.
And it's not a fun place. Definitely not great for the fans. And it turns
Yeah.
more into like a it's rude to say this, but like when you see big guys on stage who are breaking that point of where like, is that humanly possible? It's almost like a circus act. It's almost like these guys are monsters, literally, and like you just kind of want to see what happens, but not in like a healthy way.
Yeah.
And it is
I agree.
unfortunate, but like it is 100% possible to bring it back because okay, this is a weird phenomenon, but with Asian guys, it's almost as if like we're built to have like X frames. And then if you look at guys in bodybuilding right now who are at the top at the Olympia, there's not, I mean, they are X frames, but it's more like they're just big. Like everything's big. The lines are big. The guys are just big everywhere. There isn't much of like you can't really draw an X. You could try, but there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
And same thing, Arnold. I'd say Arnold's kind of more of like a V taper than an X. And I mean, if that's why it's called the golden era, then maybe we have to start going into that direction. Because I mean, I don't want to. I don't like. I wouldn't want to be in a sport where the direction of the sport is not looking too hot. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
be involved. So, and that's
And that's
coming.
why I started powerlifting. It's in a very great direction,
Yeah, I
I
think
think.
powerlifting's great. I think powerlifting can only be like in like a long 10, 20, 30 years. Powerlifting is really just going to be like what can one human body do without
Yeah.
drugs? That's literally what it is. And I think it's great. I think it's amazing, and it's not fucking easy. Um, but I mean, those are for those like hardcore people. Those are the people that are gonna they're either like genetically meant to do that, or these are people who really work their asses off. Um, but that's just like that's like super very long term. But like
Yeah.
I do think that if we level the playing field, it would be much interesting. It would be much more interesting because I would love to just because even for example, so the last Mr. Olympia was Big Ramy, and Big Ramy is Egyptian. And what happened after Big Ramy turned Mr. Olympia, Big Ramy was treated as a celebrity, like an equal to like a Tom Cruise in Egypt. So like we know that if someone were to take the mantle, someone were to like receive this high placing in a sport, there would be immense amounts of just support for that sport, and people
Yeah.
would just it would go through the cycle of like, okay, maybe I can become a bodybuilder, maybe I can turn pro, and even with powerlifting, like, oh, maybe I can be strong. It's this cycle of just like awareness and influence.
Yep. It takes just like one person to prove it's possible. And I think it's starting to happen across every platform of sports, really. Track, bodybuilding, powerlifting. There was a really cool thing. I had to do this for a writing class in college with researching one of our issues. I talked about like the exposure to sports and stuff. And a really cool thing I learned is that from 1950 to now, when you take the continents, so Asia, Europe, South America, North America, stuff like that, and you added up the Olympic medals they scored, from 1950, it was Europe, North America was dominating it. It was ridiculous disparity between them and Asia. Asia, as a cumulative total of gold, silver, and bronze medals, is now like the second highest earning continent behind North America, because North America, America just dominates the Olympics. That's just how it is. But you now see China like always in the top three of
Yeah.
Olympic medals, which is really cool because in 1950, the countries were the USA, Germany, and France that were just dominating. Um, and we didn't have evolution does not happen in 50 years. Asians did not evolve in 50 years to be able to dominate like that. They started getting awareness and they started getting funding and exposure and coaching. And like that's just a complete frame shift of what it was 50 years ago. So I'd love to see what it's like in, another 50 years. And we're approaching that 50-year mark. You think about it, we're 72 years since 1950. And like we're getting close. Like a lot can change. We're not evolving as a human race in terms of genetics, but like we are getting exposure and we're getting like better funding, better scientific backing, and I think it's in the right direction for every minority. We're we're using Asian because this is what we relate to. Is this is our culture, it's our ethnicity. But I think every minority type of race, as they get the funding, can prove 100% that humans are on a level playing field, and the only uneven playing field is the funding and exposure they get.
You know what's the funny thing about China just all of a sudden becoming really good? I 100% believe it's an ego thing. I think out of nowhere they're just like, guys, why are we not doing this? Why are we not training our people to become better
That's
at
another
other
thing. Asians are so prideful, but I think it's a double-edged sword. Once they commit, it's insane, but
yeah.
some of them will never commit because they are not willing to swallow the pride of being a beginner.
But it's the culture, it's the culture of like man, it's that I mean, for example, oh wow, I forgot. Yeah. I'm Chinese Japanese and like was part of it. And I don't think that my household follows traditional rules, but I see it embedded inside. I see it where like we do this because of this or we do that because of that. And it's almost as if like we're supposed like it's almost as if like our sole purpose in life is to just work hard. Like literally
Yeah.
that's it. And at the cost of your health. And I see that with my grandparents and probably like the generation before. And it's like it's kind of I don't know. I think it's kind of
It's
interesting.
like there's this predisposition that like is
Yeah, yeah.
just embedded.
It's almost like this genetic predisposition to like suffer at all costs, suffer for glory. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting, but like I mean, I can't lie that sometimes like I think about like because like man, if you have seen like the if I were to look at myself from like an outside perspective, it's like man, you crazy. Like why are you doing all these things? Like I don't know
Yeah.
why you're doing all
But
this.
to us, we're just like we're raised and brought up to just work our asses off.
Yeah, because I mean I look at because this is where I really see it. Man, I don't know. I don't want to get this in like a hateful way, but like I see people when you grow up, I see people and it's like I feel like you take things for granted. Like people that like I don't talk to, we're not friends along the way, just growing up. It's like I feel like you take things for granted. Like it's like everything's like there, and like not that long ago, nothing was there, and like it just kind of it hurts me because like I know that like I mean if you ever hear about the stories of your grandparents, it's like dude, it's like they literally the poorest of poor,
Yeah, they
literally
had it rough.
nothing. And then like you think about now, like you should be grateful. Like I'm grateful just for
Like that's the result of the seeds they planted is what we have. And like that's crazy.
yeah, and it is a bit unfortunate that I do see kind of the opposite happen with some people.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna like it's not a race thing, it's just some people are just more entitled or just they just feel a certain way. And I mean you can't change that, but that's just how it is. But what we can really change how long okay, let's say like what if we did what our previous ancestors did and we plant the seed for the future. I think that is a much better outlook to look at life and how we can really approach everything. And man, just imagine what right. So going off this idea of planting seeds, um, I feel like now, like yes, we're very young, 20 years, but I just want to say that like it doesn't matter how old we are now because time is gonna fly, time is gonna play out, and whatever we do now is gonna we're gonna see the result of our actions now later in the future. So doesn't really matter how old you are. What you do now will have an impact in the future. And furthermore, I know like it's kind of almost like a trend in social media where it's like do this stuff for you. You should only do it for you. But I mean, a longer time frame, like it's a term I learned in sociology. It's intergenerational wealth, and it's basically like what you do now is gonna your children and the children of their children are gonna benefit what you do right now. So what you do now, it's almost like an investment. So
Yeah.
we should, I mean, for the sake of, I mean, not only our race, but just for the sake of our individual selves and the generations to come after us, I do think it's important to strive for something, right? Whatever it is, you just do it. I've never told anyone to just like I've never told anyone to just like do the work. You want a finish line, you want to end of the line, you want to see what your goal is, and then you want to reach it. And then once you reach it, you set another one. But this is just a cycle of just improvement. It's really progression. And it all fits into this idea of like do it for you, but also do it for those that come after you.
Yep.
And in a much even grander scheme, as Asians, individuals who are may or may not be underrepresented in sports, and things like that. I think it's important that like to, you know, we try to increase just like, the little things, it's like becoming better in what we do, becoming better in sports, placing higher in respective sports, training. All that stuff leads to this increase in awareness of where like Asian people, we can be pretty good at some things. And, I think this can lead to like a better, I mean, a better outlook for all types of sports. And and I think at the end of the day, like it does sound like everything's like a battle of like who's better. But I mean, we're all just kind of like having fun. The type of enjoyment that I get from bodybuilding and sports is probably the same type of enjoyment that someone that watches basketball who may or not play basketball.
Yep.
It's all very much the same thing. And I feel like if we continue to like get better, everything's just going to improve because
Well, I mean, I think it works because doing it for yourself translates to doing it for the people after you.
yes, yes.
It's a trickle down effect, but to have that trickle down happen, it needs to be instigated. And the only way you instigate it is for yourself.
Okay, guys, welcome to our podcast starting now. It's gonna be me and Thomas. And one day I was just out of the blue. I was like, I really want to start a podcast because, like, I'm tired of just listening to everyone, and sometimes I just have like these ideas that run through my head, and I feel like there are also other people that have ideas. And you know what? I don't really see that many Asian people on these podcasts. I don't think I've seen one, to be honest, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I hit Thomas up and I was like, "Yo, let's do a podcast. Just fuck it. Let's just see what what's gonna happen." And I feel like we can talk to our other fellow. I mean, you don't have to be Asian, but like, there's not a lot of podcasts with people just our age first, and like, there's not much Asian representation in the fitness world in and of itself. So this is gonna be the start of hopefully a long-lasting podcast. We're just gonna see what happens, and yeah, we're gonna start rolling.
Yeah. So one more thing I think that's good about this is aside from the fact that, it's like some Asian representation, we're two 20-year-old dudes who are like, we have yet to make a huge name for ourselves, but we have already years of experience with this. So I know sometimes it could be hard to find relatable listening to someone like Sebum or listening to someone like Jamal Browner or Russell Orhe, like those powerlifters or bodybuilders. And at times it can be intimidating to think that their information might not apply to you. So I think this could be a little more relatable for the whole body of like the common gym body, because everyone's at different points in their lives and their careers for lifting, but the gym kind of brings everyone together with that stuff. There's like rules we all follow, there's principles we all apply. So I think this could be relatable for everyone.
Yeah, and also just like in general, I think we should yeah, we're this is a one-on-one call, but I think we should also like act like we're kind of just like with someone else or with a friend or so, just
Hmm.
so like we're just like shooting the shit and not. This is not like a super serious like, I'm like asking some like professor, how do I fix this
Yeah.
problem? I just want to just like talk about issues and such. So let's just start about how we became friends and like how we're still here many years later. So I mean, first off, I know that let's see, um, maybe when do you think like we first like just chit chatting? Like I want to say like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah. So I think in the second half of high school, so junior or senior year, um, some point around there is when you were already pretty well established in like the gym, in terms of like you had your foundations and you had your learning curve for the most part. Um, I was just starting off because I was at a point in my career where I was running track and field at the time, and you can only get so fast without like strengthening the legs and getting a little bit of an upper body. So I had started lifting, and at this point it was still all just a hobby. I had gotten up to a deadlift platform and I was able to pull like pretty good weight at the time. I was only like 120 pounds as a runner, but like I had just like done that for a couple months, just having fun, kind of inconsistent. But then eventually I started wanting to get consistent. I hit a plateau on the deadlift, and like I think I just put up an Instagram story like, "Yo, anyone who's advanced in the gym, some corny thing like that, like someone want to help me out
Course.
with this, like any help appreciated." And I got like 10 responses, like all varying things. Looking back, some of it was really absurd information. I'm not going to say names because we don't need to bash anyone, but
Yeah, yeah.
Raynold swiped up, and I think this was like the first conversation. Like there was no prior like we weren't like buddies at the time. This was just
Um,
like a pure reaching out, let me help a dude who seems to want some help type thing. And he gave me like really solid advice. And the first thing I noticed, and this could go for anyone giving advice, like you don't want to predispose your like prescribe your advice without getting the full picture. So like
yeah,
he asked
context.
like, yeah, exactly, he wanted the context of the situation, like how long have you been pulling, what's your body weight, what's your goal, let's be realistic and start from the ground type thing. And like that, like doesn't matter how old you are, that means a lot, that someone like personally wants to get to know your perspective on something. So right away there was like a good line of like a foundation made, like, okay, so I already know this dude cares enough to give information and will give good information with good context. And like from there it just developed into a like wasn't right bat hit off an immediate friend. He instantly just started like swiping up on stories, mutual respect developing type of like, oh, this is a video I did, what do you think of this? And he would not like sugarcoat anything, he'd just say it as it is. Sometimes he'd be like, great post, sometimes he'd be like, that could be cleaner or something. And like eventually I was like, this dude's a power lifter, he's strong as hell, I want to be strong as hell, I'll start do powerlifting. And
Yeah,
yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Raynold's more bodybuilder right now, but he was a pretty avid powerlifter for a couple of years. So
yeah.
he had a good foundation for that.
I'd say before we get into like, I guess I will talk about like my powerlifting part of my life. But like beforehand, I just want to say that like Thomas and I, we didn't go to the same high school. So very much we grew up on like different sides of town. And without powerlifting, without the fitness industry, probably would have never talked to each other at all.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
especially with like Instagram, well, thankfully because of Instagram, kind of just like linked up miraculously. So I just want to say that like I just want to say that like you should never be afraid to like make new friends. I see this a lot in like the gyms. It's really easy to just like be by yourself and stick to your own shit. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to just like say something to someone, introduce yourself, just even like the smallest things. And you never really know what can really happen just by like opening yourself up to someone or just literally talking. Just super like small talk. Cause small talk does lead to things if it's
Exactly.
meant to be. Um so like if you're someone that's like in the gym and you're always solo, or maybe you just have like one or two friends, like never be scared to just like talk to someone, because like at the end of the day, like what's going through your head is probably going through someone else's head that's right by you.
Yep.
So it's always cool to just talk, and everyone loves a good conversation. Nobody's gonna be like, don't talk to me like that. I've never seen that in
You're
the gym at
miserable
all.
if you don't want to have some human interaction there. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's definitely cool to just say something. And even with like Instagram, even like a small like, oh, that was great, or you look good, it goes a long way because
exactly. Yeah,
people
dude, I
really
can't tell you like how many friends I've made at the gym just like starting with a fist bump from like a spot or something. Like
yeah.
everyone knows like that little meme in the gym culture where like you won't know your gym bro's name for like 5 months,
You
but you'll be
really
working
won't.
out with them like every day. So like I can't tell you how much of those like are lasting from like years. People
Yeah.
I never would have met if I hadn't just like got a membership. So that's another thing. Put yourself out there in the gym. Don't be afraid to. Like if you're not gonna put yourself out there, it's okay. You could be as reserved as you want. But I think if you want the full gym experience, the full like the fun, like you just gotta be willing to put yourself out there. Some of the nicest people could be some of the scariest looking ones in the gym. So never have like a prejudice as to what someone looks like at the gym or what weight they're pulling. Like everyone, the veterans are going to be nice to everyone, and a lot of people are going to be nice to everyone. So just put yourself out there.
Yeah. So let's get back to like fucking story time. Um, where are we off? Yeah, so we're talking to each other. Um, honestly, at the time, like I powerlifted for like I want to say a year and a half, maybe 2 years, like on and off due to injury. But I will say that powerlifting is it's a niche. You gotta enjoy lifting heavy weights, and that's really at the core of what it is. And like when people, okay, I also see this a lot. Um, when it comes to powerlifting, it's nice to be strong, but it's also nice to really like see what you can really do, because a
Mm-hmm.
gym lift isn't like I'm gonna go into like competing. So you can be strong in the gym, right? You can definitely be strong in the gym. But like being strong on like a platform is just, it just feels so much better. And
Yep.
I'm not saying this to like push people to compete. I'm saying that like if you enjoy putting heavy weights up, then you're gonna enjoy it even more when you step on a platform, because there's more um I guess credibility, but like it just feels better because like I knew I was strong in the gym before I competed that first meet or the one meet, and then after I did the meet, I just loved it even more.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to compete. I just want to say that off the bat. But also like it's like it's a small world inside a small world. You don't have to do this, but it's really fun. And
That's
if
a
you
good
don't
way
want
to
to
put
do it,
it.
it's okay.
It's a very
Um
good way to put it.
yeah, because I see a lot of people in the gym and they're strong for their respective weight classes,
Yeah.
and it'd be so cool to just see them compete, because at the same time, like, yeah, yes, I am an athlete, but all the same time I'm also a fan, and I love to watch
Yeah.
other people progress. So I mean,
Exactly. That's
that's like,
the beautiful thing about the gym. Like the sports, there's just like a really good respect where like yes, there's medals at powerlifting meets, but for the most part, everyone's cheering on everyone. Like you step up to the platform, you have the full support of like everyone in your weight class above and below. The spotters, like everyone wants to see you succeed. Like there's like the amount of like serotonin that must be in the air at a powerlifting meet is absurd because everyone gets happy for everyone. Like that's and that just goes back to like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Again, we're not forcing competition, but if you want to just really see like what a real gym community is of like disciplined people who share your interests, it's a great place to do.
Yeah. Um, where did I end up this story at? I said,
I think you were powerlifting still, and I was just getting into it.
yeah, but I don't know if I can recall. What was like that max you hit before I said anything?
At the time, I was hyped. A little context. My first deadlift ever, I pulled 275. So like literally had never pulled in my life. I pulled 275 when I was 120 pounds, which it's all right looking back at it. But after a couple months, I think I hit 335 or something. I think it was either for one or two, and I had posted my body weight. I was now like 124 at the time. I think something
Yeah,
like that. Looking back at it, it was some cringe form, but we all started somewhere. But
yeah.
that was like the max of my life at that point in time. So
I think we have. Okay, just for like context, I didn't start deadlifting until like year like 6 or 5 until like lifting weights because I just couldn't deadlift. I didn't work out at a gym that you could deadlift that and it wasn't a good one if you could. So like the first gym that I went to that could deadlift, man, I remember I was like this was like playing volleyball and it was like the in between. It was either during or the in between. So like my body weight I couldn't like bulk up. I had to stay a certain weight. I believe I was like maybe like 150 or so. And I remember because I mean, dude, my form it's like that like deadlifting form where it's like it only works if your back's really strong. Otherwise, you're just gonna break your
yeah.
your back. And at the time, my back was pretty good. So it's almost like I was picking up the bar. Not I wasn't
Dude, I
pulling
know
the bar.
exactly what you mean with that.
Yeah, so I was kind of amazed, and it was conventional. I pulled this in running shoes. So I did like the first time I ever deadlifted, I think I hit like a maybe like a 295. It was under 300, and then I got to 300, and then I just kept going and going. And then my best pull, whenever when that pop up came up. But so I pulled. I know. So at the time, I was kind of mindful of like, because when I pulled the 295. Like I felt it in my lower back, but it wasn't bad. It's like it
Hmm.
felt like I just worked out my lower back.
Yeah.
And then I worked up to the sad part is I think I was probably really really strong, but like I just hated deadlift after I just did it. So what I hit was I hit 365 at like 150 with the horrible form. But after the deadlift, I just felt like I was gonna get injured, right? It was that feeling of like, damn,
Yeah.
this is not gonna look like if I keep doing this, I'm gonna snap my shit. And I was like freaking junior year probably, or
Damn.
junior year or sophomore year, one of those years. And I was just like, man, this I don't wanna deadlift because I don't wanna like have back pain. And the story with the deadlifting is I would deadlift like every 3 months. Like every 3 months, I would just be like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. And like I stalled. Like that 365, I stalled there. And that's when I started powerlifting. Because I was like, I wanted to do I guess. But at the time,
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. That's like exactly what happened to me. I feel like everyone hits a plateau at 365.
yeah, it's
It's
just
weird.
weird.
I think
It's
that's where like the beginner gains end.
yeah, it's probably unless you're like super like tall or efficient,
Yeah.
or even small, it'd be less. But yeah, at the time it was like I don't like I only went into powerlifting because I was kind of strong. Like I hit decent numbers without powerlifting program. And man, at the time, dude, like a younger me was real happy about lifting heavy weights. And it's like I mean, I don't have that type of excitement anymore, but I do miss it. But I will say that like Um, oh, dude, I think it was the beginning of junior year because I remember, when I was squatting, I was like, I have to hit. My goal was to like hit double body weight on a squat before the volleyball season. I remember that,
Okay, yeah.
and that was junior year volleyball season, so that would be like beginning of junior year.
Hmm.
And like at the time, I don't know if I have it, but I did everything in fucking running shoes. So I squatted, I hit double body weight. This was super like intricate because like me now I'm a numbers person, but me back then was an even hardcore numbers person.
Okay.
So I wanted that 2x, right? So I think I weighed about like 152. And I was like, okay, because in my head I wanted 3 plates, but I was like, like my initial goal was 2x. So 152 is like 305. So I put 305
Dude.
and I got 305. I squatted 305 in running shoes with like some whack ass belt. And I
You have
did it
sleeves on your
multiple
knees?
times. No sleeves.
Dude.
And it was horrible. I don't know if I have the video, but it's like, well, I look back at it, it's not bad, but like, dude, it was so like horrible. Like, I didn't have my belt was like I broke the belt, but the belt was like it was a cheap belt. It wasn't like some
Yeah.
belt, and I didn't even know what knee sleeves were at the time.
Dude, they're
I just
game changing.
I
I
know, and
remember that.
I'm surprised my knees are not bad right now, cause well now I need knee sleeves, but like back then it was like my form wasn't even that bad. Like I think my form it was a high bar. That form is probably the same. Maybe no, that form is pretty narrow, but like I don't know how I did those numbers. Like those numbers with the form and everything else, I was just
Oh
like,
my
what?
God, yeah, that's so funny. Like sometimes uh I have a big ass folder of like my lifts from like junior year to now.
Yeah,
Side note, it's really good to do that if anyone's just starting off. But like looking back at it, I'm like, how the hell was I pulling this stuff with this like wretched ass form and this little like dark iron Amazon belt? Like I was like,
yeah, yeah.
and I was in like, I wasn't even in Vans or Converse yet at the time. I was in running shoes as well. And I was like, dude, looking at this, it looks so like corny, but I was like, it moved. So I was like, the human body's strong as hell. Like,
It
that's
really
crazy.
is.
Looking back at it, that's so funny that your story was the squat. Mine was like the deadlift for me. Like, in case anyone's picking up, I'm like a hardcore deadlift specialist, like whole time, whole career, basically. And like, I remember just being like, damn, I already pulled like close to 2.5 times body weight. Like, I was like, I had no idea what a good strength to weight ratio was at the time, but I just kept pushing and pushing until just like Raynold, I got stuck at 365. And like, that's when I put up like the whole like plateau advice, helped me kind of distress call. Or it might have been a little earlier, but it's so funny. Like looking back at those videos,
Yeah, I
like
do.
I don't know how I did those things with like so much lack of equipment.
Yeah. Also, when it came to powerlifting, um, during those powerlifting years, I'd say like once I was senior year of high school and I was 18, I had a goal. I set this goal in my head. Oof. I set this goal in my head. I didn't really tell anyone. It was just like a mental goal. But I really wanted that world record squat because to be honest, with what I could have done with the trajectory and like in my heart, I was like, I think I can get close to breaking the world record squat. And at that time, it was like probably like 600 or something. And and that was like um
Is that like a juniors world record or something?
no, I was looking at like the all-time like IPF world records,
Okay.
and it was like 600. It was yeah, I think it was juniors. It wasn't in the open. So man, if you were to like talk to that person who was shooting for that world record, dude, I like literally cared about nothing and no one.
Dude, he had tunnel vision. Like,
I I was getting up to when I remember like if I didn't get injured, my whole life story would be completely different. But like I had this mental like demon inside my head that like my first goal was gonna be compete. So I was 18. I was prepping for raw nationals, like high school raw nationals, and my plan was to squat 405 at the meet, and I was getting close, but then I got injured. But in my head, I was like, okay, juniors is like, I think it was like 20. I think you're no longer a junior once you're like older than 23, I think.
Mm,
And so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, if I can squat four at 18,
yeah,
then
dude.
world record is in my hands if I just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And like, man, I was at that was an ambitious person, dude. I really wanted that world record squat. I would literally like go through all the hardcore pain. I just didn't care. I was gonna go through it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I got injured and life just kind of 180s.
Yeah.
And
I mean, dude, you were a hell of a squatter. Like, I still remember.
yeah,
I was
that's
like, I would be in awe, dude. Like, you'd make those high 300s look so easy. I think this is where we might have started getting really close because I would swipe up on those and be like, dude, like that was not like an RPE 8 or something. That looks too easy or something like that. And like, I remember going like you were just crazy and you started telling me about like the whole pause squats variation, the tempo and stuff. And I was like this dude is really good at squatting. And then when you said the world record, I was like a little taken aback, but then I did research and I was like, yeah, I think this dude has this. Like if he really pushes for it, this is like a realistic thing. With that
injury.
said,
I want to hit the four. I think my best squat at the time, the best squat in training, and I was 18. I think I was like maybe like 10 weeks out, 10 weeks before, 10 weeks out. Yeah, something around there. Mm, no, it's not on. I think it was either 355 or like 365, and I hit it for three. And that shit was really hard. Like it was really hard. Definitely an overshot, but like it was there. I was 355. I hit 355 for three, and man, dude, everything was like, I felt so ecstatic. Like, man, I loved powerlifting and everything about it at that time. And what happened was, I basically it's like it's like a really bad so this was on a day I was squatting and then deadlifting, and when I was deadlifting a squat deadlift, that's a first of all, if you squat and deadlift, that's a rough day.
yeah,
So on the deadlift, I overshot, and while I was pulling, I just felt this like strike, this strike of pain through my back, lower back. It's not a hernia, it's not some type of like uh tear
yeah,
or
right.
anything. Um, it wasn't a tear, and basically, it's just like this super. Even now, it's not even like even now I don't know what it is, but it's just that muscle is just very much uh agitated, I guess. It's just I can't like now it's like whatever. But this like I'll just like quick story, quick like summation. So at 18 years old, I got injured. I couldn't do anything. Then COVID hits. I really can't do anything now. Um, and then at that time, dude, my audio's like weird. That's my okay. At that time, pretty much just like, oh, dude, that was like the darkest time of like my life. I definitely went through so many like conflicting, contradicting thoughts. Like, if anyone knows me, like I don't veer off the trap, the 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 trail. Sorry, I don't really like go off. I don't like. I've never taken a break in all these like this decade of lifting. I've never taken a break. I've never been like I've lost motivation. I don't want to go to the gym. I've always had something to look forward to. And when COVID hit, I was like injured, dude. Like my back was killing me. I couldn't body weight squat. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't dude, sometimes it would get really bad, and like no matter what position I was, it would just my lower back would hurt. And it was a hard time, but like I won't lie to you, like there is no amount of pain that like that was the worst type of pain I've ever experienced. And literally then on, there's nothing like this is bad. I've never experienced anything that's just as bad as what I had experienced. So when I'm dealing with something right now, if I'm dealing with something that sucks, or like man, or I feel something, like it's nothing compared to that pain. Feel it.
I mean, that's a good way to tie into a topic. Like let's talk about the motivation thing. So like, is that what you hold as like when you're in a slump or a plateau or something? Is that what you use as your way to get out of that or to keep going?
Can you say that again?
So tying that story to a very broad thing that a lot of people can probably find relatable, the whole motivation aspect. When you hit a plateau or you hit a slump or you're just not feeling it, is that the story you use to hold yourself like on track, or do you have like a like what is the motivation?
So no matter like what I did, no matter what goal I wanted, there was gonna be plateaus, whether that's a mental one or a physical one or a body weight one or anything really. I always knew that there was gonna be a down and there was gonna be an up. I knew it wasn't just gonna be up forever. So I already expected it. So if something were to happen, I would just I'm a problem solver. So I look at something and I reassess. So if something happens, I'm like, okay, what happened and how did it happen and how can I fix that? And also mentally, like when people get motivation in the gym, I feel like it's super um it's quick. It's not something that's something you have to earn. And when I mean these time ranges, it's like you could do something now and probably see the result tomorrow. But like, what if you did something for like a couple weeks and you see a bigger result in like months from now? And that is something that I just like that way more. I don't like this quick gratification. Like I don't like it at all because it's
Mhm.
just not significant in the long run. So I mean, there is no other better feeling than like breaking through that plateau, right? There's just no other better feeling. Because I mean,
Yeah,
when
exactly.
the greatest thing about like the fitness journey, it's literally like you. Like you are the only person that does what the work. So that's like, because with like motivation, listen, I don't. If talking to me now is not like I don't have much motivation for anything. Um, but like if you asked me like a couple years ago, I would say like it's just the chase. The chase is everything. Because I know because back in my head like many years ago, I mean it was super competitive, but like I always knew that I'm chasing someone and someone's chasing me. So with that
Exactly.
mindset, I never stopped. Like I can't have a detour, I can't have a downtime, but like I have to take the downtime. I have to take this time of maybe it's a deload, it's a rest, it's an injury, it's a rehab. You just have to do it because you know if you don't do it, you're gonna lose the race, right? It's
Hmm.
you're just not gonna get anywhere. So to me, there's no like there are like small motivations in the gym, right? You might want to like look good for a certain day or look good to impress someone or you know something like that. But I mean, how that doesn't go that far. It doesn't
Yeah.
go far at all. And it's the little battles in your head that are really pushing you.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So for me, it's mostly the same, but I have a system at this point where as a power lifter, and this is where I think we've branched off a little bit because we both have gotten pretty advanced in our respective fields. Um, as a power lifter, at where I'm at now, I'm at a place where like, any amount of kilograms could be the difference between your placing and your total. And for me, that means like I just have to be constantly getting some form of improvement in any lift. It doesn't have to be all three at the same time. I'm not at that beginning phase anymore where I can like beginner gains like 60 pounds of program on every lift. So for me, I have to take everything as a small victory. Whether that mean like doing the same weight for the same amount of reps that I have done before, but maybe the RPE feels slightly easier. Um, the same can be said like in the reverse. Like when I'm having a bad day or I'm in a slump of some sort with any lift, I just think about like lifting, and regardless of your discipline, so this can go for anyone at any point in their time, it's an addiction. Like you will want to get more weight and you will always want to be getting more weight for the most part. So I jump back to those really early beginner days, like first 2-plate squat, first 1-plate bench, first 3-plate deadlift. And then like that was such an exhilarating feeling to hit. But then I look back at the next stage. So I think about my first 4-plate deadlift. I think about my first 3-plate squat. Think about the first 2-plate bench. Those felt even crazier. And then I put myself like, for context, I'm currently now like in between the 2 and 3-plate bench field, and I'm just thinking about how crazy it must feel to hit like a 3-plate or something, or how crazy it must be to hit like rep out 5 plates on the deadlifts or something like that. And I just think about like the potential. That's like my motivation for me. I think like this is where I'm at. I already feel I have good confidence with my powerlifting now. I've had ups and downs in terms of the self-esteem for it, but I think about like how confident in my strength I am right now, and I'm like, to think that I could just be like absolutely obliterating the weights I'm doing is like such like a crazy driving factor. Like you will never be content with the weight you lift as a power lifter. And that's how you can tell if this is like the sport for you. Like if you are okay, like I'll take a break from, you know, I'm happy I hit 4 plates on deadlift. I don't have to do anymore. Like you're not a power lifter. Like you're strong, but you're not a power lifter. You need to be like, you need to have this constant ambition to just get stronger and stronger and stronger, and want to just pull heavier and heavier and push harder and harder. And for me, that's my motivation. Like I just think about the next plate, like as simple as it is. Like I just think about, the next 45 pounds I'm going to put on the bar will be another 90 pounds to my total. And then if I do this 3 times, that's 270 more on the total or something. You just got to take like the what ifs and the what I've already done and put them together. And you're like, this is where I stand on that timeline. And like, that's my way of doing it. And it's going to vary. So you have a very, like, I think yours is very realistic and very very forgiving, that like you just think about like, oh, really realistic. I'm going to go through ups, I'm going to go through downs. Eventually it'll come back up, eventually it'll go back down. It's a very good way of thinking.
Yeah.
Me, I tend to be kind of just like fuck it, like this is what I'm going to hit, and I don't give a damn like what I have to go through or what I'm gonna lose to get to it. So like obviously without injuring myself, like I'm not like rebellious in terms of that, but I will be doing ambitious sets. I will do crazy pulls or something just to get that fire going again, because you do hit slumps. And I was in one for a while, to be honest, and like I just had a, whether it be going off program a little or just changing an RPE or something, you just got to get that fire again. Like I wasn't supposed to be pulling heavy because I just started a new block on my own, and like I was like, but I just feel so underwhelmed and trashed right now. Like I don't feel
Yeah.
like doing anything, so I had to slap on 5 plates and just like give it a yank and just like go like, yeah, I can still do this, but I'm not happy with how 5 felt. Let me make it feel like I can do like 4 or 5 by the end of this or something. And like that's my motivating factor. Like repping the weight that I can only do for 1, or just like getting another plate on that bar, depending on how close I am to it. And like it's just no better feeling in the world than hitting what you set out to do. And then that's my motivation for that.
Damn, what are we talking about?
You were about to say something after I had
Uh,
talked about my mentality.
yeah, I just want to say that like whoever's listening to this, like we're very much like committed to this life. Like there's not much out of this that we do. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I have like it's not like I play another sport. It's not like, I do anything much else after besides this. And most people are not that. So I just want to say like to the general audience that everyone has their goals and everyone's goal is important to them. And no matter where you are, whether you're day one or day 1,000, you should be proud of your goals and you should be hungry to achieve them. And just remember that like we all started from base zero. We all had nothing, and we built this up over the years. And just for context, like I started training when I was like 10. So there's a lot of things where, like, to be honest, like I probably should be bigger, I probably should be stronger, but like it's okay. I don't really care. I went to the gym to just enjoy it, right? There were a solid like 5 years of lifting weights, actively being in the gym where I wasn't chasing. I wasn't like committed to the drive. I just went because I liked going. It's super simple. And but from coming from me now, I just want to say that anyone that like really wants to work out or maybe who's contemplating working out, it's consistency. Nothing beats consistency. You just have to show up. That's pretty much it. It's very
Yep.
simple. It's and it's definitely okay to like take breaks because I'm not gonna lie, there are plenty of times now where I'm just like, man, I wish I could just not do this. And if I
Yeah.
wasn't like a competitive person, if I wasn't a competitive bodybuilder, I wouldn't mind taking like a week off. Like I wouldn't mind it at all. I think if I was coaching someone, it's okay because it's not like you're held to some super high standards. Like these are arbitrary standards that we hold to ourselves, but like they shouldn't affect how you think about yourself. So I just want to get that message out.
Exactly. Yeah, and one last thing about that, like, this is exactly like what's beautiful about just the gym community. Like, whatever we hold to ourselves is fine. You anyone could see it as intimidating, or some people could see it as motivational. It doesn't matter. Like, I can tell you, me personally, and I'm probably speaking for a lot of the strong dudes or the weak dudes or anyone. Like, if I see a dude who comes in here who looks at like it's his first time ever lifting, I will be happy as hell to see him like hit a PR, regardless of if it's like 25 pounds on the bar or if it's a 45 or something. Like, there is a great feeling in like seeing people like you, so your gym, seeing people like you just push as hard as possible. It's like something that you just can't help but feel hyped or happy for, like seeing a max effort anything. So like, when it comes to like, oh, I'm scared to go, or I'm scared to, like, I'm never going to be as strong as X, Y, or Z, like, just scrap the mentality, because I can assure you X, Y, and Z is probably very happy to see you hit whatever milestone you hit. Like, it's a great thing for everyone. And this is also like jumping back to what I said way in the beginning. Like, I think this podcast could be very relatable for a lot of people, because like I said, we are not like the world class of the pros who are like their 30s or like their late 20s. Like, this is a relatively, we were beginners relatively recently, and
Yeah.
like that's fresh in our head. So we can speak for a lot of the range of people. Maybe not like that top like 1% of like, can like Chris Bumstead, whatever. Like, but we can tell you, we have in recent time gone through a very wide portion of this gym journey. And like, so what we say, like, it translates to like almost every gym. So like, consistency, don't be intimidated, and do it for yourself. Any mentality that works for you is really all that matters.
Yeah, I would like to name this podcast Run Your Own Race. It's okay to just do what you want to do. Like don't feel like you're obligated to do something. Do something because you want to do it. I don't know where I was going with this. But
I think the big message here is like, it is a safe space. Um, and do not take the 1% of people that may be, for lack of a better word, that may be an asshole or something. Do not take that 1% as a representation of the whole gym. Like, just like anyone who goes to high school, there are bullies. Anyone who works, there are narcissists. Anyone who goes to the gym, there are people who are not the person you want to go up to. But like, do not take that as that 1%, probably less. Do not take that really small fraction as the whole representation of the gym. Like, it is a safe space. It is probably the most supportive place you will go to. And like, to pass up on that opportunity because of intimidation, it gets me, it makes me sad. And like, because there are so many people who I know want to go to the gym, and it comes from both sides of the spectrum. There are people who are too scared to go to start losing weight, and there are people who are too scared to go to start gaining weight because they think they're too small, or they think they're too big, and they think someone might make a remark. And like, the gym culture is like taking a shift. I will say it's like a very supportive now. It's a very good time to go, but also don't get a false narrative from like the influencers and like the people, that 1% in the gym. Like, you do not have to be where they're at and the second you walk in, like like we said, run your own race. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You have When you walk into the gym, there's no deadline to what you have to do in that day unless you're a very meticulous lifter. But even then, it's a fictitious deadline. Like there's nothing that says like you have to do X amount of weight by X date. It's just a standard you put on yourself. So walk in there with no standards, no expectations, and you can get the best experience that you had no idea you were signing up for.
Yeah. And hopefully we become better at this, but I really want like the podcast to be a blend of just like yeah, we are very much like super niche, but also at the same time I just want to like talk about normal people and normal gym things that aren't trying to be like the best in the world. And I think we can like develop like a good mix of that over
Yeah.
time.
Like
And
right now, we're just kind of, testing the water, just like getting the whole setup down, getting the whole talking, like taking turns talking type of thing. Eventually, we'll develop an audience of people who will see which direction it goes. And then we could start focusing it on whatever that audience develops into. But for now, we're talking very generalized where anyone can take this. Even veteran lifters get intimidated. um Veteran lifters hit slumps. Veteran lifters will lose motivation, they'll get discouraged. These are general messages that anyone can take. And I think it's a really good thing, this podcast, because one of the best quotes I've ever heard is, we're the biggest victims of ourselves because we can give the best information to someone going through the exact same thing as us, but not take our own advice. So we're kind of here where we can give you that external advice because we didn't take it ourselves. We've had to take it from each other. Yet looking back at it, we probably had the same ideology because we think the same in a lot of regards. But sometimes you just need to hear it from someone different or a complete stranger. It doesn't matter, but that's hopefully what this can develop into. Like, just like speak for the community kind of thing, speak from experience. For
yeah,
anyone going through anything in the gym, we've probably gone through it. So
I just there comes a point where like even me, like I do want to share like my vulnerabilities. Like I'm not like a perfect human. You like no matter what I say or what I do, like during the beginning years of lifting weights, I never really talked to anyone. I don't think I ever opened my mouth to anyone until like maybe year 5. I was just that person that would just like go into the gym and just do my workouts and then leave. I wouldn't really talk to anyone. And over the years I kind of regret it because I mean one at the same time I am like an introvert, but also how many like friends could I've made along those years.
mhm.
And it's unfortunate that I just kind of closed myself and just shut myself down and didn't talk to anyone. But if I did had like if I did have like a mentor at the time, I because sometimes there are a lot of times where man like like I wish I could go back in time and I wish there was someone there that kind of like would talk to me just about like the randomest things, just like how did chest workout go or whatever nonsense at the time. But it took one person to like I just it took one person to kind of open my eyes and be like it's okay to it's perfectly fine to like talk to people in the gym and make friends as if like I was in school just chatting with a classmate. It's perfectly fine. And I don't know, I guess it also kind of depends on what gym you go to.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think I'm kind of just like saying to like build a community because I think
Mhm.
at the end of the day, well, not at the end of the day, but like I there like of all the things we go to the gym for me, I guess I really do enjoy the people I meet at the gym, even if like we're not in the same world.
Yep.
Um, it's not even like the deep talks I have in the gym. It's just like
Yeah.
the little highs and waves and nods. Those kind of add to it. And I mean, I also like. I mean, okay, yeah, that's the part like that I do enjoy in the gym, and that's kind of not gonna end. That's something that doesn't. It's not gonna go away because there are always people at the gym. There are always friendly people at the gym, and I just want to like, okay, I just want to say one thing that like that it's weird, but there is a time in the gym where like it's busy and it's not busy, and when it's busy it gets rough. Like people don't want to talk when it's busy, and
Yep.
you kind of have to understand that, because like man, there's like quote unquote like there's a rush hour in the gym, and it's
Mm-hmm.
typically like when people come home from work.
Yep.
So I know like we are saying all these things about like being friendly, but like there's also a time and a place.
Yep.
So like um like if you I don't know what to tell you, but like if it's rush hour, most people just kind of want to work out and don't feel like no one wants to talk to you. I think that's the worst feeling in the world. But like when it's busy, like people really just want to work out and like leave because nobody wants to be in the gym all day. And even like I got spent numerous hours in the gym and I hate being there. So it's time and place is really important. But but yeah, I think that's like that summarizes my point.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like, the whole talking thing, the I will keep saying this, and sorry if this is like my 40th time saying this. Like, the most beautiful thing about the gym to me is that like it can't be compared to anything. Like you could be at school and you could be at work, and you'll see a student or an employee that you've seen for years and you've never spoken to. And regardless if you want to be friends with them or not, you always hit that thing where you're like, if I haven't talked to them for this long, why should I be friends with them now? Type of thing. At the gym, you have no idea what that person's story is. You have no idea what they do for a living. You have no idea how old they are. I didn't even find out. My closest gym buddy or gym bro, he's 3 years older than me, and I had no idea until like a year talking to him. Like it's you have no idea about that stuff. So you have the most unbiased friendships you can possibly make there, and where they genuinely like you for you. There's no like, oh, I heard this gossip in high school, or I heard this dude got like written up at work. There's no bias or anything there. The only thing they see is how many times you're coming in and the work ethic. And then from there, you guys can find your opposites attract, or your likeness attract. Like, you will develop the most natural friendships you possibly can for the gym. And I think that's why it high key worked between me and Raynold becoming friends, because like we had no bias. I only knew this dude went to the other high school in my town, and he did volleyball. I had no idea what type of student he was, no idea what type of athlete he really was. All I knew is he went to the gym and he looked like he had a good work ethic. And I was like, that was enough for me to get some advice from. And look where we are now, like 4 years later,
Yeah,
starting podcast up. Like, no one would see this coming. And that's like the really nice thing about the gym. You never know who's going to end up being that dude you start something with.
this is completely off track, but like I kind of want to decorate my room now. There's literally nothing in my
I
room.
know.
It's
Yeah.
on this side, but even then it doesn't look good at all. So like I don't know how I'm gonna like, cause like the bed's like there. Figure out.
Oh, well,
You know
dude,
what though?
you know where I should really do this podcast? Like, this would be so funny. I'm going to send a picture because I can't turn my camera, but yeah, look at that. That would be a great place for me to do. That's right in the corner of my room, what I just sent.
Oh yeah, dude. That's like literally like a green screen, but it's black.
Yeah, I have a, because when I was big in music recording and stuff, I put that corner up.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're gonna keep this in the podcast, but for
Yeah.
for those who are watch, who can't see, it's a soundproofed wall basically. It's
Yeah.
very
So, yeah, who knows? Our setup might develop. We might like get a better concept of what's ideal, but this is the first experimental thing.
yeah.
No podcast starts out perfect. You go to any of them, and the intro is gonna be different. The mic quality is gonna be different. Like,
I know
everything's gonna
definitely.
change. Just take the message. That's all that matters right now.
Um,
How to impress your gym crush.
Your gym crush. I don't know. I feel very biased when it comes to gym crushes. Um, yeah, we're gonna keep this in. When it comes to girls in the gym, because I'm so like far up from the average gym goer, I don't think girls care at all, like at all.
Yeah.
And it's like I care a lot, so that type of complex does not work well together. So when it comes to like girls in the gym, well, I guess you could just from a look, right? You could almost tell how much a girl cares about the gym by how they look. If they look like they've
Yeah.
been lifting, that means they care a lot. And if it looks like they just started, they don't give a fuck at all. So that's kind of how you have to approach it. But also, I mean, I've seen some guys that kind of just like they kind of go off the rails. Like they just kind of forget about lifting weights when it
Yeah.
comes to when it like let's say they're just like talking to a girl and then you can just like they just forget. And it's like, well, I'm not the type of person to just like throw everything away and like talk to a girl. But like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. That's up to you. But I don't know. I don't think girls very much care about bodybuilding or powerlifting unless they are one. So
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Honestly, dude, that's the biggest thing. Like you go to the gym and you're like, oh, there's gonna be like this isn't me. I'm taken, but like people are like, oh, I'm gonna find such a baddie at the gym, yo. Like this is gonna be like there's probably girls like the fattest whatever. Is like, no, dude. Like they're not here to. Most of them, I would say, most of them are not here to show that off. It's there because they worked hard for it. Like you're not gonna find any girl at the gym who's not the personality of a gym rat. You're not gonna find any girl who's like gonna be like some super shy, petite, like whatever. Like they're working. They put themselves out there already. Like use that as your indicator. If that's not your type, don't look for a girl in the gym. Like there's no formula to get them or anything, obviously, but there's like tendencies of people who go to the gym, like, high standards, high ambitions. They're not scared to put themselves out there. Like you're not gonna like there's no stock gym girl. Like you're not gonna try to get someone the same way. So like just keep that in mind, yo. It's not like I will say females do have it rough at the gym.
they
Like
do. They very much do.
it's very, very annoying sometimes. Like I can tell, I will actually say this. One of the most attractive things to me about a girl in the gym is if you can genuinely see they are minding their own business. Like you could tell there's girls who will look for a
Oh
spot that
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need, or like they will go up to a dude, or they'll be dressed in like the most neon of tight colors or whatever. There's girls who will genuinely mind their own business. And like that is the best one. But I also feel very bad when they get distracted or interrupted. Like that just makes my blood boil, man. I hate seeing someone work out who doesn't want to be bothered. All right, so like anyway, the females have it rough, very rough, and like it makes my blood boil when like someone, especially a female, is especially just trying to enjoy their workout, just do their thing. Maybe they're with one other person, maybe they're working alone, and you see some dude, and this is what I'm talking about, that 1%. Like you see that guy in the gym. I'm not gonna make a description. It can be different, but every gym has that guy. And anyone who goes to the gym knows exactly what I'm talking about. There is I see that guy come up to her, and I'm like, dude, I can already tell like she hates this. And like obviously I'm doing this from afar in my four hoodies, but like it's just annoying. Just leave people alone. It doesn't just go for ladies. Obviously it goes for the dudes too, but like just leave someone alone when they look like they don't want to be bothered. Like
I could describe the person. He's someone who kind of looks like they work out, but don't know if they work out until they took their shirt off, and then you see tank top, and you're like, oh, I guess he kind of works out. But then you watch him, you're like, is he really working out though? And you watch him and just see where he goes, and then he goes to like every girl in the gym, and you're like, oh wow, what a productive workout. And then
yeah,
just
and then the cherry on the cake is he'll like move her and demonstrate how to do it like for her.
uh,
Like
It's so bad. I hate when people are like, "This is how you do something," and
I
it's
know.
like I won't say I've never done that, but like, there's a time and a place, and
Yeah,
a
like
clear distinction between when it's kind of like needed and when it's not needed. Um, it's like
that's so true, dude. Like it
it's
literally happened to me yesterday. Like as advanced in the gym as I am, and as many people know, like Thomas has to be pretty good. He probably knows what he's doing. I was doing rows the other day, so literally yesterday, and I posted this on my Instagram, but I literally emphasized that I was doing like a slow eccentric squeeze at the top thing. And some dude comes up to me and he's like, "No, dude, you want to go for rows? You want to get that back pumped?" He's like, "You want to go as hard and fast as you can." I'm like, "Dude, like I'm literally doing this as like a cool down. If I wanted to go that hard, I would have put way more weight in first of all. I was doing 20 reps, like, and like, dude, you never know what someone's training for. I also saw this 3 days ago. I saw this dude doing the side lateral raises. And as a bodybuilder, you're probably very aware of partials. And like, dude came up to him. He was doing partials perfectly fine, doing it right. You do heavy weight partials, and like the dude came up to me, he's like, "Bro, you gotta get full range of motion. Like, grab 20 pounds. Don't use these 35s." And like, I was like, "Bro, like, that's so annoying. You never know what he's trying to do." And the dude, like, respectfully was like, "I'm targeting a very small range of motion for this very like precise spot on my body." Like, he's like, "I'm trying to build it." And like, that's exactly what a partial is. Good for that dude, but like, the mind your business sometimes. Like, you never know what someone's doing. Jumping off of what you said, I only will give some advice when it blatantly looks like they're hurting themselves. Like, if I can tell your body's fine, like, do whatever side lat raise you want. I don't care. But if I see you, like, for example, like literally killing your lower back on a deadlift, I'll be like, "Hey, dude, like, I'm just watching out for you. Good pull, by the way, whatever. Always open up, be nice." But like, this is what I would like. I notice your back's like really rounded. Maybe you don't tell in the heat of the moment, but like something like that. I hate saying like, I give advice. I don't say do this. Like
yeah,
like what I said before, I give advice like once and I expect you to kind of just build off of the advice I give beforehand. I'm never gonna tell you like, "Oh, grab this weight." You're ego lifting. That I hate hearing that. Like,
yeah. Also, man, I could go so many ways with this, but like, let's just start with like what I was gonna say. Um, I usually will say something if I know that me telling you what you can do is gonna help you not look like an idiot. That's when I will jump in.
that yeah,
I
it's a
will
good way
see
to do it too.
someone and it's like, man, I don't want you to embarrass yourself. So I'm gonna throw some hints and see if you can get it. Because I will never actually tell someone like you should do it like this. I ask them like questions. I'll be like for a deadlift. I'm like, so like, do you like feel it in your back or like where do you feel it
Exactly, yeah.
started?
That's the difference. It's not
Or
like
if it's
it's not assertive.
I mean that's the primary one. If it's like, oh man, I've done this before. If it's like a girl with the leg exercise, you gotta be really like careful when it comes to
Oh my
girls and leg
god.
exercise. So like, if I look at someone, have I ever? I don't know if I've ever done this though. I'm trying to think if I have. I mean, I've told girls like what exercises to do, but I've never like demonstrated or I haven't like walked with them to do it. I just tell them like I would do this and do this. I'm not gonna like be involved, but this is how I would do it. Because especially with like my legs, like my legs are pretty good, but like I'm not gonna like baby someone through a leg workout
Yeah.
unless you want to work out. That's different. But like, man, like don't be the guy that tells people what to do. Like there I've seen a guy who's
Yeah.
like there like there's a guy in my gym who's like it is only with females because I've seen it so many times I can almost predict it. And it's like you just the guy is like doing whatever workout he's doing and he like goes to a girl and he like tells it's like you tell them to do like a minor adjustment, but it's not like an adjustment that's like that much beneficial. It's
Yeah.
like maybe it's like a slight change in the degree of angle of your arm or like something dumb like that. And it's like, man, do you really gotta say something? Because
Yeah,
people,
dude. Like you're just going up to go up at that point.
yeah, like people aren't. And also, if you're gonna go up to talk to a girl, do it. Like don't half-ass it. Just do it. Just blatantly, just if you want to talk to her, just do it. Because like don't be the person that's like trying to give help unless you want to give help and it works. Like
Yeah,
like the advice will actually help them versus like I
dude.
just want them to acknowledge me. Like that's like the worst thing you want to do in the
Yeah,
gym.
bro. I hate one of the things that's annoying about going to a big gym is like sometimes you hear these conversations between a guy and a girl. Like, dude, my gym has squat racks lined up, and I was on a squat rack, and girl next to me was squatting, minding her own business. She's pretty strong. She was doing a plate for a couple reps. Like, and this is exactly what I was saying. Like, don't go up just to go up and say random shit. Like, you gotta either full send to it or just don't go at all. I shit you not. This man went up to the girl. I was like, that was a good set. And he said, how much weight was that? Like, bro, you know what a plate is. Like, don't give me that. Like, it's so
That was
and
a
he
good
thought he was
set.
so smooth. He was like, how much weight was that? Like, I was like, oh, it was
Uh,
135. And then he was like, damn, that's heavy. Like, no shit. She knows she did a good ass set, bro. Like, you don't need to. I hate when someone says that stuff. Like, it was so funny. I was like literally like secondhand embarrassment for this dude as I was hitting my set. And like, it's so it's so funny, dude. Like,
yeah.
you gotta just like if you're gonna talk, and this goes for anyone, not just girls, but like as a guy, you could get away with it more with a guy as you could with a girl. But like, dude, like just have a conversation. Like when you plan your conversation, it's never gonna go. Like I know 100% that dude walked up knowing he was gonna ask how much weight that is. Like you don't just say that right off the bat. Like, but this leads me to a question. I know how you're talking about like when you notice someone embarrassing themselves is when you'll give advice. For some reason, people take this specific advice so sensitive. Do you ever tell someone to squat deeper?
No. Even
Right?
if it's like bad, no.
Yeah, right. I don't know why people just get so offended by it. I don't say it because people get offended by it. That's like one of those gym stereotypes, like that. And I never tell a dude benching to touch his chest. Like I've gone up to people with the deadlift and be like, "Hey, like, how'd that feel? Like you, like, oh, did it feel like an RDL or like did it feel like something?" And like then I could start building off it. But I've never been like, "Yo, touch your chest more," or like yo, squat to 90 or go deeper. Like,
Yeah. If someone is telling you advice and it's like minuscule, like if it's something like that where it's like did you really like if you have to question yourself, like did you really have to tell me that? They're just an asshole, okay? They don't really care. They're just saying shit just to say shit.
mhm,
They're not beneficial. They're not it's not gonna lead to some pivotal turn in your life like that. Those times are just like it's those weird outlier moments that happen in the gym and they do happen.
yeah.
And
And
it's
that happened
just
to
like
everyone. Like you'll never escape it.
yeah, it's just like
Happened to
when
me the other day too. It's annoying.
hmm, just if shit happens like that to you, just like brush it off. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that happen in the gym that happens and you may be like bummed out, but like it's okay, dude. You're here every day. Just brush it off.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
like
You have to have a little bit of, I wouldn't even say thick skin at the gym. You just gotta be a little tolerant. Cause like I said, you run into everyone of every different demographic. And with that, there are some obnoxious people. But at the end of the day, you gotta respect that if that obnoxious person is there every day, they're still going to the gym every day. So like you do have to give it to them if they're working out, that is. But like
yeah,
you never know what someone's workout routine is or their warm up routine. Like people have random things. Like I have a very weird squat warm up, and that's why the dude came up to me and tried to give me like advice until like he had no idea who he was coming up to. And that's what it's funny. Like I'm not the strongest dude in the gym. I will always say that. Like, but I'm up there, and most regulars know like, oh, I should go to this person for advice, or oh, this person knows what they're doing. For the most part, my squat is pretty good. But like when I'm warming up and I'm adding my plates, I go deeper and deeper every time. Where when I'm doing my plate warm up, because I have like tight adductors from sumoing and squatting, it's a lot of strain in the same block. So I will start with my plate and do like similar to a partial. Like I won't go all the way down. It's just to get the blood flowing gradually as I'm adding plates on. By the time I'm at 3, I'm at like my good depth and everything. But dude sees me doing one plate. He's like, bro, you gotta get lower. So you gotta get better like quad activation, man. And I like when I tell you that voice, like, yes, it was like a Chad guy. And like
oh man,
he was like, dude, like you gotta hit 90s, bro. Like I was like, I didn't even like try to justify anything. It's times like that where you just gotta be like, all right, whatever. And he's like, yeah, if you need help, I'll be on that squat rack over there, bro. Like he puts on 2 plates. That's his like he squatted properly, 90 degrees, whatever. He sees me slap on like my 4th at this point, and like he's like, bro, like what the hell? Like you gotta like just mind your business. Like that's what exactly what you said. Like if you take that advice and you're like, why did he have to say that? Don't even analyze it. Like it wasn't even worth it. Like this guy was like tank hoodie, had the connected beard. Like when I tell you, like he was the Giga Chat dude. He came up there like thinking he was making a difference in my life. Like, no, just brush that stuff off. It's annoying, but you gotta just it's experience. But this is a thing that's cool. Random thought, side note about this the podcast thing. I think it's cool because a lot of the stories we tell or that the stuff we do is probably very relatable.
Yeah, it was.
And
I was gonna say that.
it's cool like speaking to you about this stuff for the first time compared to like because I don't tell you about my gym experiences, I'll tell you about my workouts, but like hearing like the similarities we see is very very funny. And this is just more justification that like almost every gym operates on the same basic principles. Like obviously the size and like the hours are going to vary, but like there is no like regional gym stuff. Like they're all going to operate roughly the same. So like a lot of the advice could be taken. A lot of the stories are probably very relatable, but like just brush stuff off like that.
I think it's gonna be quite apparent that we're all gonna experience the same gym stories, the same interesting people, and like honestly, did I am kind of like I have to there are kind of like 2 points or 2 views or personalities or personas where like there's one side of me is like, yeah, I just want to get to the gym and work out and don't talk to anyone. And the other side of me is like, I just want to like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna get a productive workout, but I wouldn't mind talking to someone, smiling here and there, doing things that like make me a friendly person, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I mean, I see it from all types of perspectives. Like sometimes I just wanna, do what I gotta do and leave, and which is perfectly fine. And then sometimes I just wanna like chit chat and lounge around. So, you know,
Yeah.
don't feel like you
Don't
gotta
feel
do something
obligated.
to do any. Yeah, I don't feel like you have
Yeah.
to. Um, it's almost I say this like all the time in my head that like I've made the gym the modern playground, or I guess my playground because we don't have a playground, right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, you should be able to like have fun in the gym and feel like you're not judged. But if you are judged, like fuck it, nobody cares. Once like if someone judges you, let's say someone judges you, like it's not gonna leave the like once you leave the room, you kind of leave the judgment because no one's there.
Yeah. Like
So
again, it's that 1%. That's literally been my catchphrase with the gym for like years now. When I'm talking to beginners or talking to dudes who are like discouraged, like there is the 1% of people that you just have to know how to ignore. And
yeah,
like that the way what you said just like really fits the whole theme of what we're talking about. And even like the name, like the run your race type thing, like you can go in on a given day with like this mentality or that mentality. It's your own race at the end of the day. Just go in, take it day by day, and you know those days become years, and now you
yeah.
have something really worth going to the gym for.
All right, guys, that has been this podcast. So far, we talked about Asian representation. We talked about a history, what we think, our perspectives. We have talked about how we became friends and that interesting story. Um, we also discussed some maybe funny, ratherly more interesting gym stories.
Relatable ones.
Yes, and I'm
You
gonna
know, over
cut here.
time we'll develop like uh more specifics. We'll get into more details. But for now, we just want to lay out, who we are, where we come from, our backgrounds. We'll start diving into more current things. Maybe eventually we'll talk about like our actual like working out philosophies, like how we do it, our strategies. But for now, this is just who we are. This is our first episode, and now you guys know us a little better.
All right, that wraps it up. Thanks for listening.
Yep.